Hey friends, it's Gloria and welcome back to another video. If you watched my 2022 reading goals video, you know that every month I hope to read a classic, a nonfiction, a book off my shelf, a historical fiction, and a new release. So those are my 5 prompts that I hope to complete every single month, and reading less in general. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 12 classics that I hope to read in 2022, hopefully one a month. I did end up reading 19 classics in 2021. I will be reading less, so 12 seems like a reasonable number, and I'd love to prioritize these next 12 that I will be mentioning. Without further ado, let's jump into it. I thoroughly enjoyed reading some children's classics in 2021. I read the entire Anne of Green Gables series, and I read Little Women, which I absolutely loved. I also read the graphic novel adaptation of this next book, but I'm very excited to pick up the actual book, and that is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I really hope to read this in the spring because this just feels like the perfect spring book. Because I'm new to classics overall, I feel like starting with some children's classics is less intimidating and just feels more manageable if I'm going to read 12, and so that's why I'm sprinkling a couple children's classics in my list of 12. It sounds sweet and wholesome, and I feel like I will definitely enjoy it. The next children's classic that I hope to pick up is Heidi by Johanna Spyri. This is a lovely little edition that I found in a little free library. This feels like the ultimate little German family story. This next one I am so eager to pick up, and it's been on many lists since starting Booktube, and that is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I absolutely love with my whole heart the Count of Monte Cristo movie. I know that I'm gonna love the story, so I just really need to read this. However, this copy that I own, this Barnes & Noble edition, is the abridged version, and I really want to try the unabridged version, so I'm on the hunt for a beautiful copy of the unabridged version of this book. Let me know down below in the comments if you own one or have seen one that you absolutely love, because I'm looking to purchase one. Since I know I'm gonna love this book and I'm gonna spend a lot of time in it, I really want to buy a copy that I love, and I'll just pass this one along. Another book that I'm absolutely ashamed I haven't gotten to yet is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I don't own a copy yet. That is also one that I'm on the hunt for. The 2005 movie is my absolute favorite movie. I know I'm gonna love the story. I know I'm gonna love the book. Hopefully. I'm not setting my expectations too high, but I have really high hopes and I really want to own a copy that I absolutely love and that I will dive into and spend time with. I'm planning to read Pride and Prejudice in February, and so I hope to get a copy by then. Next up on the list is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë. I was very successful reading Rebecca in 2021 and loved it, so I'm also hoping that this kind of gothic mystery story is interesting to me. I don't really know anything about Jane Eyre, and I don't really want to know. I just kind of want to just dive into the story because I didn't really know anything about Rebecca either, and I really liked it. One that I hauled not too long ago is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I really couldn't tell you what this book is about, but it's short, which is nice compared to some of these other ones on the list. I think it's set in New York. Someone said it's pretty depressing, and I don't know anything else, but I would love to read it. Another one on my list is Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. One of my close friends recently read this and really enjoyed it, so that's why it made its way onto this list. And it was also referenced in The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, and I just want to know what that reference is. I feel like this is a classic that is maybe less talked about, at least in my little circle on Booktube, but I would love to read this one, see what it's about. I think it is a classic romance, maybe kind of coming of age, maybe some feminist vibes in it. Not entirely sure, but I believe it's set in the golden age of New York City in high society. Another classic historical romance that I'm very much looking forward to picking up is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I know it probably has some problematic themes set in the South during the Civil War time period. I know it's quite a few people's favorite classic, and I just really want to make up my own mind, see how I connect with the characters in this story in this time period. This next one came highly praised by Chantel Reads All Day. It is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. Again, because I'm newer to classics, I really want to read a variety of classic authors and then see which one I really connect with and like, and then maybe dive into more of their works. I also couldn't really tell you what North and South is about, but I know that there is a BBC adaptation. I believe I watched it, set in England, Victorian era. I'm sure there's some romance and some pining and some family drama and all the other stuff that goes along with that time period in those writings, but I'm excited to pick it up based on some high praises. Okay, this next one I am absolutely terrified, and that is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I didn't think that I would be reading this chunky Russian classic in my lifetime. At least it wasn't on the top of the priority list, but I swear every single person on Booktube is reading this year. Everyone who had a classics to read for some reason mentioned this book. So I think just as Les Mis was the book of 2021, I feel like War and Peace will be the book of 2022. But I will be buddy reading this with multiple people, I think at this point. I think that is the way to go because I'm terrified. This is almost a 1,400 page edition of this book, and It's like a 65-hour audiobook that I found on Libby. If I go that route, I'm just gonna, you know, just dive off the deep end with Russian classics here. This book is set in the early 1800s in Russia, and it follows also like Russian aristocratic high society. There's a prince and a count, and there's also love triangles and drama, and I believe it spans multiple years based on, you know, the length of this book. Don't really know much else about it, but I am nervous to read it and slightly excited. I am a native Russian speaker, and so I feel like just for fun though, I would love to listen to a couple chapters of this in the native Russian language. I'm gonna try to find those somewhere, maybe on YouTube, just to try it out and see if the translation that I'm physically reading maybe matches up with what I understand in Russian. So, you know, we'll see how this goes. This next author, I haven't quite decided which one of his I want to pick up. I do have Grapes of Wrath right here, but I also really want to read East of Eden. So I feel like either one I am totally happy with picking up. I believe both are set during like the Great Depression time period in America. Both of these were popular, you know, high school required reading. In my high school, it was Of Mice and Men, so I have read one of his books before, but I've heard really great things about Grapes of Wrath and also East of Eden. Let me know if you've read both or either and which one you would prioritize. And then finally, the last classic that I want to get to is actually 4 books in total. That is The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit world. I started The Fellowship of the Ring as an audiobook with my husband in January 2021, and we didn't make it very far. I'm still sitting at 25% of the audiobook. I just think the year got away from me and I prioritized a lot of other books, but I still really want to complete the series. It is a bit slow and rough and not much is happening yet in The Fellowship of the Ring, but I'm going to power through it. I'm going to power through all the singing, but I'm determined to still get through it all. And I heard that The Hobbit is better than the original trilogy. Either way, I want to read all of them, so I'm counting all of those as just one book, but it's a series of books. I am familiar with the story because I've watched all of the movies and I enjoyed the movies, had no problem with them, would watch them again, but I really want to get into the original source material and dive into this epic fantasy world that shaped so much of that genre, which I don't read a lot of, but I'm open to a classic fantasy. So those are the 12 classics that I hope to read in 2022. Please let me know if you've read any of them and have had great times with, or not so much. Give me some encouragement for War and Peace because I'm scared. But that's the plan. We'll see what happens because it's hard to stick to a TBR sometimes, but I'm hoping to make 2022 a great reading year and really incorporate some important classics in it. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending time with me, and I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye!